Welcome to the first episode of Series 48, everyone. This series is going to sweep you off your feet as we create characters for Kids on Brooms.
No.
But before we get to that, first, some announcements.
No. And first announcement, no. I can't believe I didn't read that closer before we started.
It was an orange,
I'm so mad.
so.
I'm so mad. All right, announcements now that I'm done being mad at Ryan. Did you check out the Spotlight episode last week? Well, keep an eye out for the Deimos Academy Kickstarter that should be starting later this week. If you haven't heard the episode yet, absolutely check that one out because the game is pretty fantastic and Ryan had a lot of fun creating characters in a spooky boarding school with our guests.
Mm-hmm.
I, unfortunately, was ill and was not able to do anything. So,
I think you would have enjoyed it. Yeah.
Illness.
I know.
Boo.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun, so I can't wait for that game to come out. And if you have not checked out the episode yet, definitely check that out.
Yeah, it sounded like you had a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that game is.
Absolutely. Another thing you can check out is the TTRPG bundle for trans rights Texas on itch. There are well over 400 games included in this bundle, including my very own game, Our Final Gathering, The Dreaded Reflections of the Immortal Soul. We covered that game on a Patreon exclusive episode if you want to hear what it's all about. But this bundle is only $5 minimum. So it's going to such a good cause. So definitely check it out. Help some folks out. And if you can, give more than $5 because it is well worthwhile.
Yeah, I mean, $5 for 400 games is obscene.
Yeah. It's so much.
That's so many games. Speaking of Patreon exclusives and helping people out, we also have a network Patreon that helps our show and all of the other shows on the network at patreon.com/oneshotpodcast. You can get bonus episodes for various shows on the network or even rewards like a free RPG every month. But honestly, if you have a few dollars to spare right now and are debating on where you should go, probably check out the TTRPG bundle mentioned right before this. And then consider backing the Patreon if you have a little more to spare.
Mm-hmm. And one last announcement before we go. We have a TikTok page now.
What?
We're on the TikTokies.
On the TikToks.
We're on the TikToks. So yeah, we're really only hosting our teasers for upcoming episodes there. So they're going to be all in one nice little spot. Will we use it for anything else? I'm not really sure. But
once we learn how.
Once we learn how, maybe. We're old. I'm sorry.
It's, like it may be the thing that finally makes me get TikTok. Part of me has been like, you have ADHD, don't do that to yourself. But maybe this will be the thing that
if you stay
forces my hand.
If you stay off the TikTok and just make TikToks, then you're good.
Right. I think you have to be on the TikTok to make the TikToks.
You're probably right.
See, this is how little Ryan knows.
Exactly. But you can follow us at Character Creation Cast, all one word, on TikTok and like our stuff.
Woo! That is it for announcements for today. Actually, you know what? I thought of one more real quick, one more.
Yes.
I was incorrect about my daughter's Girl Scout cookie sales. Her leaders did not give us an end date, and so I assumed that the end date was the same as in-person sales, but it's not. So if you want Girl Scout cookies, it goes through the end of March. So we will put a link in the show notes if you need some cookies and would like to support Eleanor. It is bit.ly/Eleanor Cookie. Because they gave us a really long URL and I made my own. Otherwise, if you are interested in supporting local troops, you can probably find a girl near you that still has a website up, or most of them are doing cookie booths at grocery stores right now through the month of March. So
there you go.
If you don't have a Girl Scout, you are welcome to borrow mine. But if you do, please find them and order some.
Yeah, I already got 2 batches of boxes of cookies.
Yeah, I might have ordered like 20 boxes.
Yeah, I think we're around that much too. It's ridiculous.
You know what? But as I eat them, I'm not sorry.
Yeah, and they last forever in the freezer.
They do. Yeah. Okay, so all of that is it for announcements for today. Stick around after the show for our call to action, including a new review.
A new review.
Oh, I didn't read that before. That's very exciting. Oh, I can't wait till after the episode. In the meantime, enjoy the show.
Welcome to Character Creation Cast, a show where we discuss and create characters, the best part of role-playing games, with guests using their favorite systems. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan, and this episode, my co-host Amelia and I are excited to welcome Doug Levandowski and Jonathan Gilmour, designers of the game we're covering this series, Kids on Brooms.
Welcome to Character Creation Cast. We're really excited that you both are here. This is going to be a lot of fun.
We're excited to be here.
I'm so excited about this.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.
Thank you so much for having us.
Doug, we'll start with you.
Sure.
Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself, any projects that you have going on, where people can find you online?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am Doug Levandowski. I'm a high school English teacher and then part-time game designer, also full-time father, out of New Jersey. I'm on Twitter at Doug Levandowski because I'm, trying to keep it simple.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Easy to remember.
Yeah,
that's right. Currently, John and a bunch of other folks and I are working on Kids in Capes, which is the fourth in the Kids On line. We did some live streaming of that over the summer to start that design process, and we're continuing work on that. John and I are also working on a secret project that should be announced soon in the Kids Online. And let's see, what else? Well, let me look over at my active projects on my whiteboard here. It's the only way I remember things. Oh yeah, the other big project that I'm working on right now is Home with Yunsu Kim, which is a game using using the quiet ear as an engine about surviving the night in a haunted house.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm really happy
Nice.
with how it is coming out. And there's actually John's advice to look into using a hack of the quiet ear to make it work. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then John, how about yourself?
So I'm Jonathan Gilmour. I am a full-time game designer and part-time English teacher. Not really. I just wanted to.
That would have been great, though. I think you should pick up a job just so that you can continue making that joke.
Yeah.
All right, that's fair. Yeah, it'll make all these podcasts better if I can actually carry it. So you can find me on Twitter at John Gilmour, JONGILMOUR. And I'm working on a bunch of stuff. So the secret project with Doug, another secret project with Doug that we're just kind of starting some stuff about that we're real excited for. I just had a game called Collab on Kickstarter, which is about being down on your luck mad scientists that have to share a co-working space, hence Collab.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
That
it's a lot of fun.
So much fun. That sounds like so much fun.
And the art is so good on it. Like, I'm so excited for it. It's a great game.
That sounds amazing.
So yeah, staying busy with that stuff.
Very cool. Well, let's go ahead and get into this, and we'll start by discussing what this game is all about.
What's in a game?
All right. So what is the core concept of Kids on Brooms?
Yeah, the main idea is that you are folks at a wizarding school. You're either new students, more experienced students, or faculty there, and you are trying to make sense of the world around you as you learn about magic and figure out how to use it, and then navigate whatever complications the GM is flinging in your direction.
Very cool. Is that, I know this is like the third of the series of the Kids On series, and we'll get into that in a little bit in the history. But that seems the same sort of formula as the previous games in terms of world building, character creation.
Yeah, we tried to carry a fair amount of things over from game to game, but we also wanted to try to innovate with this one. and with Teens in Space. So each one we try to, make it different enough. So this one introduces the magic system, but character creation and world building has some tweaks for sure, but it's overall the same.
Very cool.
What kind of setting are we playing in? Is this like a magic school in the real world? Is this like a place where the whole world is magical? Is this, kind of whatever you want?
Yeah, 100% up to the players. So that's part of the questions that you ask at the start and that you think about in terms of what kind of game you want to play, right? Is it somewhere where magic is widely accepted and people who are magical get to go to school? Or is it a place where magic is kept super duper secret and, you sort of sneak your way into school every day or stay there?
Very cool.
Yeah, I like that. So what sort of tools do we need to play this game then?
6 dice.
Oh, okay.
And the book. The character sheet probably doesn't hurt either, but you need a full set of polyhedral dice and you're good to go, pretty much.
All right.
Yeah, and that kind of came from the original Kids on Bites when Doug and I were working on it. Stranger Things had just come out, so we were discussing how to, kind of incorporate the feel of classic D&D into it. So Doug suggested we put Thatcho in the game.
It's a really bad idea.
And then you were like, Doug, I still want to be friends later, so maybe not.
Yeah.
And I was 100% serious about that. It's important that I'm honest about that.
After I came out of my stupor from hearing that, we discussed further and came up with this idea.
I like that. I feel like a lot of sort of modern games and indie games really kind of eschew that like full set of polyhedrals. And I know that each game has its reasons for picking the kind of dice that it does, so I don't want to say like, I don't know why that is. But it's interesting that it's sort of a trend overall that all of these games have made that choice to not do that. So seeing that full set in a more modern game is kind of, I don't want to say surprising, but it's interesting, certainly, and certainly different from a lot of stuff that we see.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead,
Jen. No, you go.
We knew that it was super fun to play with dice, and we just thought it would be so cool to use them in a different way.
Yeah. And so the way we use them in here is that your 6 stats are represented by the dice, and the bigger the die is, the more powerful that stat is. So if your D20 is in grit, you're extra tough, and if your D4 is in flight, you're not that quick.
Right.
And originally we had it so that, the names are sort of juxtaposed against each other for some of them, like fight and flight, or charm and grit, brains, brawn. And initially we were thinking that whatever your D20 was, the other one would necessarily be the D4. And then whatever your D12 was, it would be the D6. But then we realized that was just way too limiting, and that sort of like opposing binary thing sort of fell by the wayside as we kept working.
Yeah, it really kind of forces you to min-max, which, some people love, but some people really don't.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and the other thing is that the dice explode. So the smaller dice can actually have huge successes because a D4 has a 25% chance of exploding.
Right. Yeah, it makes it really swingy that way too. Which is why I like games that have a lot of kind of like swing in them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we wanted those like big moments where you did something that didn't seem like a good idea and it was successful, because we felt like that was super, indicative of like the Kids on Bites genre.
Yeah, absolutely. Those moments where it's like, there's no way that this is going to work, but like everything goes exactly right. And then you somehow pull it out.
Yeah. Because your kids going up against insurmountable odds and somehow come away unscathed.
Right.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I love exploding dice too.
I do
it's
too.
Just so
it's just
satisfying.
It feels really good, doesn't it? It just feels really good.
It's like, I rolled max on the dice. In normal games, it's just like good on you.
Great job.
And with exploding games, it's just like, okay, roll it again.
Do it again.
And maybe you'll get to roll even more.
I think I have a screenshot somewhere of like an online game that I was playing where it just kept like, it was like 4 or 5 times. And I like took a screen cap of it and saved it for posterity. It's like, look at my one amazing amazing role. And I think it was to run away. It was like, they're like, what are you doing? I was like, well, obviously I would run away. I don't have any weapons. I don't have it. Like, we run away. And I ran so good.
You just left like the dust cloud behind you. Like
it was like the biggest waste of all of those exploding dice, but it was so great. It was like, that is a true Amelia story.
Yeah,
like,
well, that's your Roadrunner moment.
Right. We really like to talk to people too, especially about what kind of stories and themes these games are meant to explore. We know that when we sit down at a table, obviously you are not coming to my game every time to tell me how to play or what kind of story to tell. But certainly when you design a game, there are things that you kind of put to the forefront. So what kind of stories and themes were you hoping people would kind of explore in these games?
I think the two biggest ones for me are I want people to explore those relationships between characters. You know, a lot of the character creation is built around forming those relationships and asking those questions and delving into that. And I think that emotional core of all of those stories is what I think interests us the most, right? Like the big moments where they take out a Demogorgon with a slingshot or, well, sort of. Or, you know, there's a big lightsaber battle, or like, you know, they stand off against this unbeatable evil wizard and somehow manage to come out. Like, those are cool and all, but like what drives it and what creates the stakes for all of those is the way that, you know, Rocket looks at Groot when the ship is crashing and Groot's decided to sacrifice himself, right? Those are cool moments, but they mean nothing if you're like, oh, okay, like character A is done now. Excellent. So that's a big part. And then the other part is thinking about ways to be more creative and problem solving than I smash it in the face with a sword, which like is super fun sometimes. Like, and you want some resolutions like that for sure, but you know, doing more than just rolling for damage and rolling for all that stuff, which I mean, like I said, is great in its own place, right? But I'm really interested in those stories where it looks like there's about to be a fight and they figure out a way to sweet talk their way out of it. Or, you know, they explode 5 times on a run. And, you know, the bully takes a swing at the cloud of dust that you've left behind.
Yeah, and I think we wanted to really be able to allow people to play a wide berth of genres too, because that's a big hallmark of Kids on Bikes when we started having these discussions. Because it can go from like action like Goonies to sci-fi like Paper Girls, you know, to horror to really anything. So we didn't want to, you know, shoehorn people into like one genre. You know, you could do Monster of the Week with like a Scooby-Doo type game. And we really wanted to open it up and make a system that, you know, really was generous in the world creation. So you could do any of those things with the same rule set.
Very cool. So when you create your world, what and your characters, what do characters do in this game specifically in Kids on Brooms?
Yeah. So one of the big differences is there is a sort of built-in, unlike Kids on Bikes, there is sort of a built-in, not leveling up, but character improvement thing here with the class schedule. Whereas you're practicing these kinds of magic, you're getting progressively better and better at them. So we wanted that to be part of it because this is so focused on the school setting that there had to be that sort of learning, educational progression thing going on. But on a more basic level, you're going on these adventures, you're getting acclimated to this school that, you know, probably for many of the characters is unlike anything they've ever seen before. You know, where the rules that most of the ways that people have chosen to play it is, you know, the rules that people think about reality are now malleable. And so what does that do to the world around you? How do you explore it? How do you find your place in that sort of upended world?
Absolutely. As kids, nonetheless.
We always like to ask designers, especially, what do you think makes this game unique? And especially, I kind of like to talk about it in the view of what made you feel like this was a game that you needed to put into the world? Why like why this kind of magical school game instead of, making a 5e hack or, if you want, I mean, why couldn't you just use GURPS, man?
I mean, for me, part of it was that I used to love big, chunky, rules-heavy RPGs, but I just don't have time to play them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So, that was one of the things is we really wanted to have a thing that you could play as a one-shot or as a campaign in like 2-hour-ish sessions that were nice and tight and had a really good arc. And the other thing was that I was on a panel and it was called Breaking into RPGs. And I thought like from the name that it was going to be like how to become an RPG designer. And this was before Kids on Bikes was out. And I was like, I'm underqualified for this because, my RPG is not even out yet. But it ended up being like 300 people in a room. And the panel was about how to learn how to play RPGs.
Oh,
and that really
something
resonated
about that
with
just like hurts me a little bit that like,
well,
like,
it
why
really
is it so hard?
Yeah. Well, it resonated with me that like D&D as a rule book is the worst rule book ever. Like
yes. Thank you.
I struggled with it because I didn't have anybody that played D&D around me when I grew up, but I bought the books and tried to teach myself and had no idea how to actually play the game. I was like, here's the rules that tell me how to do checks, but like I didn't know how to DM. I didn't know anything else. And I didn't know how to role play really. So we wanted to use the character creation to ease people into the role playing inherently without them having to like read a how to role play section. So, doing things like asking them questions in character, kind of gets them used to speaking as their character.
Yeah. Which honestly is like one of the things that we spend a lot of time exploring on this podcast too, is, how character creation is the first like step into any game. It's that first like toe in the pool. And so, how does that process tell you what playing the game is going to be like? How does it introduce you? And in a lot of games, it doesn't, and it's like D&D is one of those games, like making characters tells you nothing about what playing the game is going to be like.
It doesn't aside from you're going to have a lot of things to roll and combat's heavily important.
Right. Yeah. You have weapons. Yeah. And it's interesting how many games don't do that, especially given the fact that when you talk to a lot of people, their intro to role-playing games is like, oh, I found this book in my uncle's attic and I just like made a bunch of characters and then I didn't know what to do with them. And then they go on to like make games where character creation doesn't have anything to do with playing the game. And I just find that interesting that like we don't connect those things very often.
Another big thing for me is the flexibility, right? That a lot of games have a very specific, here's your setting, here's what happens, where people are sort of told, this is the kind of world you're in. And, with Kids on Bikes, Teens in Space, Kids on Brooms, it's, I don't know, what world do you want to be in? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And leaving that flexibility for folks, I think is one thing that sets this apart. Also the magic system we have in here. I'm really, really proud of what John Spencer and I did with that for just the sort of streamlining of how do you cast a spell. I think that sets it apart from a lot of other stuff.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
I am excited to learn that.
We spent so much time having those discussions about like, do we have like spell books? Do we have all this other stuff? And we just kind of landed on like players really should be able to do anything with magic because that's fun and it should be really fast and fun to do. And kind of my design philosophy is always like have the players doing the fun stuff as much as possible. So we just really leaned into that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's really cool because I think in a lot of games, magic is one of those things that for some reason it's difficult to make it not feel clunky. And a lot of times as somebody who likes to play magic characters in lots of games, it really slows things down sometimes to be like, okay, this lasts for 3 rounds and I need these components and it takes 4 rounds to summon the thing. And I can only do this 3 times a day. Like, no.
Right. But is that a concentration one or is that?
Right. Yeah. Can I do another thing at the same time or no?
Right.
And And
And how big is your component pouch?
Being fun after a little bit. Like it's, like I just want to do something cool. Can you please just let me do the cool thing? I can do math and count how many onions I have in my kitchen. I don't want to like do that in this game too.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the part where we generally talk about the history of the game or history of the series in this case. I was curious, when did you start working on Kids on Brooms?
It was the year that the first season of Stranger Things came out.
I was going to say 3 days after Stranger Things came out.
Yeah. Oh. Yep. Maybe even quicker. It might have been the day.
Yeah, that's true.
But Dud had posted on Facebook, like, yo, who wants to work on a Stranger Things board game? And I sent him a message immediately. I was like, hey, Dud, I'm already working on a Stranger Things board game. How about we do an RPG? And he was like, oh, that sounds great.
Yeah.
And then, we just kind of went from there. And the Stranger Things board game ended up being a Kids on Bikes board game several years later.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So that was back in 2016, 17, give or take?
15 or 16, sometime around that.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Time has no meaning anymore.
Really that long ago?
It was 2016 because I remember writing while I was watching the Summer Olympics.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
And then Kids on Bikes kickstarted in November of 2017, successfully, of course. And then Teens in Space, the first announcement I saw was in 2019. I'm assuming that work began on that at some point after Kids on Bike was fulfilled.
Yep.
And then Kids on Brooms is now out and about as well.
Yeah. So that one was, we were talking to Scott from Renegade and Ivan from Hunters about, next steps as we were getting close to wrapping up Teens in Space. And they said, so what are you going to do next? We said, well, we have a couple ideas. We could do this. We could do that. Scott said, yeah, the cool thing about this is like, it's so like the names are so evocative that like once you have it, like the game sort of like not writes itself, but like the concept is just there.
Yeah.
Just from the name. He said, Kids on Brooms or whatever. We're like, yeah, that's our next one.
Sounds great.
Yep.
He was like, no, you don't have to. Like, just because I'm like president of Renegade, you don't have to do what I say. We're like, no. Like, that's a great name.
It's too late. You said it. It's out
great.
there.
We love it. We're there. And then a couple weeks later, we got contacted on Twitter by Spencer, who had done a hack of Kids on Bikes at a convention called Kids on Brooms, and was like, I just thought this would be cool. Just wanted to share this with you guys. We were like, well, how about? And yeah, working with him was just fantastic. He's so great.
Absolutely.
Was there always an intention to make this like a whole series, or was it like partway through making Kids on Bikes you were like, there's so much more I can do? Or
no, I think Dad and I were probably expecting. So it's a lot of weird happenstance. Like we were going
as these things often are.
Yeah, every time. We were gonna self-publish it. We were just gonna do the Kickstarter ourselves. We expected to maybe sell like a couple hundred copies to our friends and be happy with it. And at Gen Con, I randomly ran into Ivan Van Norman, who I knew online but I never met in person. I was like, hey, I just want to say hi. As we're both like walking hurriedly to meetings, and he's like, oh, what are you working on? And I showed him the cover because we were already had Heather doing art for it. And I showed him the cover and gave him like the quick rundown, and he was like, don't show this to anyone else this convention, and let's have a meeting as soon as it's over. and I was like, great, because the last thing Dad and I want to do was self-publish it, but we didn't want to like spend a lot of time pitching it to publishers, and neither of us were really in the RPG world, so I don't know RPG publishers as well as I know like board game publishers. So it just happened, and then we had that meeting with Ivan and Chris, and they were on board, and they kind of took over running the Kickstarter, and did all that, and getting some of the guests together for stretch goals, and then I think after the Kickstarter did really well, we heard that Renegade was coming out as a partner. And then I think like the next year we won the ENnie award, right, Dudge?
Yeah, for best family game. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, 2017,
2018. Yeah.
2018, yeah.
Yeah, so we were like, well, we should definitely talk about next steps and doing more stuff with this at that point. And the Kickstarter way outperformed what we were expecting. I think we did like 125,000 or 140. Yeah, for the time, pretty good for an RPG.
Yeah.
And it's nice that you set yourselves up too with like such a malleable system with regards to setting and tone and all that sort of stuff with Kids on Bikes that you can easily mold into these other genres and add some more specific rules to the specific genres and stuff like that. That was really cool.
Yeah, and it's worked out real well with players too, because it made it nice that they can like start a Kids on Bikes game and just transition into the different systems.
Oh,
and we've had a lot of people do that.
I want a chain campaign. Start with Kids on Bikes, go into Kids on Brooms, Teens in Space.
Yep.
Yeah.
One of my favorite experiences was at a smaller convention in Michigan.
Yeah.
Banana Chan was running a Dads on Brooms charity event, and I was running the Teens in Space charity event. And it was like a 4-hour learn to play a one-shot charity event. And we broke so everybody could go get lunch, and Banana and I talked, and we were like, would it be cool if I crash landed the Teens in Space into the middle of your game and we put them all together at a table? So like when they got back from lunch, I was like, everybody was getting ready to sit down. I was like, nope, we're going over to that table. And then I narrated the crash landing on the planet, and I'd set it up like right before lunch. And then we combined the two games, and it was so fun.
That's amazing.
Wow. Those experiences are so memorable when you've got multiple tables that you just combine together and it just works. Absolutely. Oh, I'm excited.
Yes. And it sounds like you're still working on more. So there's, hopefully more cool things to come.
Yeah.
Will everyone keep getting older? Because we've got kids and then we've got teens. Are we going to have like adults in grocery stores?
Young adult.
I'll be honest.
Paying taxes.
We learned our lesson from Teens in Space. If that ever gets re-released, it'll be Kids in Space for sure.
Oh, there you go.
That was a tough transition. Like the sort of
we thought the name sounded better.
Yeah,
but we learned that people didn't recognize it as a Kids on Bikes game.
Oh, okay.
Right. Okay. So the next one, the next one is the secret one. That definitely starts with kids. But Kids in Capes is the one that is still in the earlier stages of work. And that's a superhero game. Which Doug told me we were not going to do a superhero game when I first approached him. He's like, no, like
absolutely not.
Masks exist, and I'm not interested in doing a superhero game.
And I said we were going to do THAC0, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. John's usually right.
No, that's not my point. But I think it's fun that I sold him on it because I was watching Stargirl with my kids. And I was like, Dud, you need to watch Stargirl because it is a Kids on Bikes superhero show. And you watched like the first 4 episodes in the city, and he's like, oh yeah, we're doing Kids in Capes now.
Right. And the thing that separates that is, a lot of the games focus on the characters when they are already heroes, right? When they, we're already a team, we've already had these adventures, or the plan is we're going to start out together and then keep going. Kids in Capes, at least as we're envisioning it now, is about shorter arcs about the team just starting out.
Okay.
And, of course, people can sort of bend things and keep going. But in the rules as written, as we're envisioning them now, there is an end point for your character in the campaign. Not, every character dies at the end of it or anything like that. But at a certain point when you fully embraced and fully understood your powers, good game, right?
Yeah. Which I like. I like when games have an end point, because I think a lot of times we're kind of left hanging. It's like, it's, a beginning and a middle and a middle and a middle and a middle. And then like there's no resolution. So like knowing that a campaign has an endpoint is sometimes really good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still holding out for Moms in Target, though.
Well, and that's nice is the adventures that we did, like Banana did Dads on Mowers,
Yeah.
which is such a good,
So good.
setting.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
All right. So what you're saying is I can write my hack of Moms in Target.
Oh, please do.
That's right.
Absolutely.
We'll see if I can find the time. But before we dive into the actual official real character creation part, are there any terms or concepts you feel like people need to know to really be able to follow along? It's okay if the answer is no, too.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, we tried to stay away from specific language
Sure.
that people had to learn. Like, we wanted to try to use, besides the different stats like charm, flight, grit, brains, brawn, and fight, I don't think there's much else.
Yeah, but those are kind of like, call it what it is.
Yeah.
Feels like,
Mhm.
you don't need to explain what grit is or fight.
Yeah.
Right.
So fight is fighting or?
Yeah, we can definitely get into that during character creation, and it should be pretty easy because it feels like the whole crux of the kids series is make it easier. And so yeah, let's shall we make some people then?
Let's make some people.
Yeah.
Let's make some people.
Let's make some people.
Oh, I'm so excited for this.
All right. So, Kids on Brooms. I now have a character sheet and the book. And what is the first thing that we need to do to make our characters?
First thing we do is we build the world.
Oh, yes. Let's make a place.
Ryan doesn't like world building, actually.
That's not true at all.
I heard him say.
And
Slander.
I actually lied. The first thing we do is we set any boundaries that we want to include here.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. That is good.
I'm a real big fan of lines and veils as just a way to sort of set stuff up. So I guess that is one term people would need to be familiar with.
Mhm.
Should
Yes,
we explain for the listeners, or do they know? Is that something you use a lot on here?
It is something we use a lot. We also do have, is it character
There's
evolution
a
cast episode
safety
7?
episode that we did.
Yeah,
Okay.
episode 7 that is all about safety tools
Yep.
and things like
Oh,
that.
great.
So,
Yeah.
yes, I mean, like we can say real quick, lines are things that are hard nosed for us. Veils are things that it's okay if we kind of discuss, but we want to not, usually it's
Not
things
go into
like
detail,
romance
skip
and things
over
like
it.
that. Like, fade to black.
Right.
So,
Mhm.
but for more information, see Character Evolution Cast episode 7.
Mm-hmm. All right. I don't have any like big lines or veils that are outside of the norm. So like pretty much everything's fair game. Obviously, we're not going to get into actually playing the game, so don't have to worry too much about like harm to kids or anything like that. Really just a lot of the basic like decency knows,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it should be fine. Is there anything on your end, Doug and John?
I think that's I think that's a fine baseline for me for this, since we won't be getting into playing too much.
Yeah.
Let's
Let's just be decent people.
Yeah. No, I think my one usual caveat of like, you can describe violence, do not tell me what sound it makes. Probably shouldn't come up. Shouldn't be a big deal in character creation, but that's always my one caveat. Don't tell me how it sounds.
We keep it PG because we're a family friendly show.
Perfect.
And we should be good. If it can make it into a PG movie of today's time, I know PG movies of the 80s are a little different. Oh yeah.
Okay, but also to be fair, Star Wars is PG-13, so
That's very true.
just saying.
That's true. All right.
Okay, world
So,
building, Ryan's
world
least
building.
favorite.
You keep saying that. Those words don't mean what you think they mean. Okay, yeah. So what do we do to build a world?
Let's make a place.
So we have a series of questions that we'll answer around the table. We can talk about our answers, but whoever is the sort of active player is the one who gets to make the decision about that.
Okay.
This will be on page 5 of the PDF.
Yeah. And in that process, we'll sort of naturally establish tone, right? Like if, our school winds up being called Thurmbler McBlurmbers Magical Mess. We know what kind of game we're
School for
playing.
magical hoodlums.
Right. Versus like Grimdark Academy of Horror. We know we're doing something very, very different.
Yeah, one of those is Ryan's school and one of those is my school.
Pretty much. It's just a school for necromancers, right?
Right. Yes.
Yep.
And we're all emo kids.
Just trying to keep the romance and necromancy.
Now you've activated our trap cards of magical girls and necromancers.
Yes, this is the theme that we build all characters around: magical girls and necromancers. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the first thing in the collaborative creation is deciding on the tone we want to take. So maybe we should discuss that.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, we tend to get goofy regardless of how serious we get.
Yeah.
There's always something that ends up being a little bit goofy.
Right.
I like goofy, and I've already named my character goofy names. So
Oh, there you go.
You named your character. We haven't even started yet.
I started filling out my character sheet because I thought of a name, so I wrote it down.
What is this?
What is that? You don't even name people first. I left my name books out in the living room again. Gotta stop doing that. Okay.
But I don't know. We did what a serious tone last series with a lot of goofiness kind of interspersed into it, like where everything. What was it? Our characters took everything seriously, but
the world was not serious.
The world wasn't as serious as that.
That's fun.
Yeah, we were very serious about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, your one after this is Deimos, right?
Yeah, that's going to be coming out this week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that one's just a spotlight one, right? Is that the one that you did?
Just a spotlight.
Yeah, because I was sick.
So that's like one of our abridged episode formats.
Yeah, we just did Thirsty Sword Lesbians was the one right before this.
Okay.
So, yeah. I mean, I'm all for, I think, like, sort of like mid-level silly.
Yeah, somewhere in the middle, right?
Okay.
Right.
Like
so it's
Owl
not like
House,
over
maybe?
the top, like crazy.
Owl House is a good example of where our nonsense usually falls.
It's one of my favorite shows ever. If
I love
people
that show
listening
so
haven't
much.
watched Owl House yet, please go watch it.
I have not.
I haven't. My kids keep telling me that I need to.
Oh, yes. Yes. You both need to.
Because my sibling came over and watched it with them. And they were like, Mom, you have to watch it. It's like, okay.
It is delightful.
I'm so sad that it's ending. It's one of those, I think there's 2 seasons and they're going to do 2 movies to finish it out.
Yeah.
But it's just such an incredible world.
So good.
So yeah, I think like mid-level goofy sounds good to me. Doug, what about you?
Okay.
Yeah, that works for me.
All right. Mild absurdity.
There you go.
That's my middle name.
It's true. I've seen the contracts and stuff.
Yep.
All right. So I guess we'll go alphabetically here then.
Oh, no.
Are we going to have like a pretend GM that's asking us these questions and we're all creating characters?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, we're all kind of GMing for each other here.
So Doug, you need a different GM voice that you use.
I'll do a very serious GM voice.
And what's your GM's name?
Greg.
Greg Masterson.
Greg.
Because his initials are GM.
GM. Yeah, I like that. That's good.
Perfect.
I'm Greg Masterson. I'll be your GM today. We're going to play a very serious game. I expect that this will be serious, but of course it's up to the players who I expect won't disappoint me. Amelia, we're going to start with you. Our school is called
it's going to be the Williamson Academy of, or should it have a really good acronym? I feel like we need to backronym this.
Oh, we got a backronym.
We got a backronym. It's like a short, like magical word though, because I don't want to do like magic is like too many letters.
Poof.
So like try and like
POOF. Poof.
Poof.
Poof. Prestigious. Order.
Yeah.
Order.
Prestigious order of.
Fantastical magic.
Spelled as one word.
Yeah.
Fantastical. Fantasticism.
There you go.
The prestigious order of fantasticism.
Okay, that sounds a little less serious than I was thinking. All right. on.
I like that Keanu Reeves is our GM today.
I know. Oh, that would be a dream.
We need at least one good whoa out of you before the end.
Okay. Doug, our school is location. I feel like it's located on like a secret island somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not sure like how big a body of water.
I think like a Great Lake, maybe. Because I feel like the ocean is maybe too much. Like that's too secluded.
Secret island in the middle of a Great Lake?
Yeah, I think it's like in the middle of like Lake Erie or something.
Erie's good
Erie
because
is
it's
good.
not.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's an Erie word.
Yeah.
Also, Lake Michigan is stinky.
And Lake Superior is just way too cold.
All right. Jonathan.
Yes.
Our head of school is named and is best known for
Something serious, Jonathan.
Their name is Meredith Bleep Blorp. And they're best known because their soul has been transposed into an automaton. And that's why the kids call them Bleep Blorp. Because that's the sound that the automaton makes.
Now, is Bleep Blorp hyphenated or one word or two separate words?
Hyphenated.
It's her married name.
Yeah. Maiden name was Bleep.
Yeah, married into the Blort family. That makes sense. Yep.
The legendary Blorp family.
Okay.
Ooh, they're very powerful.
They're known for their potions and their portions.
Just large portions of potions.
Yeah, jumbo portions was their slogan.
The golden corral of potion makers.
Gross.
It's an all-you-can-drink potion buffet. You're gonna love the flame potion fountain.
Everybody else comes in vials, and theirs comes in like this Speedway, like big gulp. Like
Like, what are those Walmart like the giant mugs? The ones that are like a small keg.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
They're the Monster Energy drink potions.
You'll be calling more for days. All right. Ryan.
Yeah.
One of our favorite pastimes is a magical combination of what and what.
Oh God.
Okay.
Serious, Ryan.
Serious. Yeah, I know. Has to be it has to be something that is good for that like competitive anime type moment. So I want to say volleyball.
Okay.
Because the other half I wanted to say was a cooking competition.
Volleyball in a cooking competition. Please, yes.
Oh, I'm gonna spike these
I was thinking
prawns.
like Iron Chef, like.
It's a magical combination of volleyball and a cooking competition.
Okay.
Where you have to spike your ingredients literally into various dishes.
And what's it called?
Let's see.
Ready, set, serve.
Yep.
That's good. Yeah.
Oh my God.
All right.
Only like a little bit. Like a little
Yeah,
bit.
just a little bit of goofiness.
Yeah.
It's fine.
All right. Amelia and Doug, I'd like each of you to give me a notable landmark in the school.
There's a large closet filled with something. What should go in the closet? I want it to be a closet.
Tiny statues.
I feel like I want it to be something like super mundane. There is a large closet that is filled with singular socks. But if you ever try to go through it, you will notice that it is an ever-changing selection of singular socks. And this closet is the place where all of the lost socks in the world go, at least for a short time, just long enough for people to throw the other sock away.
I have experience with this closet.
Mm-hmm. All right. And Doug, what about you? All right. I feel like if it's on a secret island, I think I want the docks to be important in some way.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I want there to be something Like, I feel like I want it to be connected to magical transportation in some way, but I haven't gotten my head around that.
What if it's staffed by like magical sea creatures of some sort?
Yep.
It is staffed largely by Octavius. He's an octopus.
Oh yeah,
He's
he's
the
the
captain.
dot master.
Mm-hmm. It's in a Great Lake, so I don't know why there's an octopus there, but it's
just
fine.
a freshwater octopus.
Right, yeah, he's like a
magical.
humanoid one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's where the local mer folk send their like teenaged mer people
Mhm.
to work.
They're
as, like,
Merteens.
They're merteens as valets. And so it's real bad. Yeah.
Oh, the merfolk are not great folk.
I mean, they never drive any sort of vessels, right? Like they swim. So they're just like forever backing stuff into things. I mean, luckily we can like magically mend stuff, but
Yeah. Yeah, we let the teens be valets for like generations, and nobody's quite sure how that started or why we've let that continue.
right.
Mhm.
But at this point, it's such a tradition that we can't really back out.
It's a good learning experience, and they'll be better people.
And it's important for them
because
to
of
get college credit.
it. Exactly.
Mhm.
And I also feel like that's a way that like the local, like the older mer community, gets the teenagers to not want to go on land. Like the Little Mermaid, they're like, look at this dumb crap they're driving. Like,
Right?
you don't want to be part of that. You have a tail. You could swim.
Right?
Yep.
Mhm.
Look at those idiots
Right.
with their boats.
But we have the best sport ever, so that would be a draw.
That's true.
And I feel like the merfolk are also like, and look at all the problems with socks. Like, why would you want feet?
It's true. It's true. Like if you're a mer person, you only need the one, like to keep the bottom of your tail warm.
Right.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. That's
All
just
right.
science.
John and Ryan.
Yeah.
One of the most unconventional classes we have at the school is
How about textromancy, which is the art of bringing dead books back to life? Nobody really knows what that means yet, but it's a class that you can take.
So it's basically necromancy for books.
Yeah.
Well, we're just like
Yeah.
slowly rebuilding the Library of Alexandria.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, see,
Love
that
it.
makes sense.
that sounds very serious.
That's important work.
But the books talk when they're brought back to life.
Yeah.
okay.
We haven't figured
Darn
out how
it,
to do
John.
it without like messing something up.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. But you know, that knowledge is preserved now. And that's doing good work in this world.
That's the important thing.
Yep. Oh, goodness. Another unconventional class.
Ryan, now's your chance for like outfit transformation 101.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Gosh, how do I want to call that? How can we
How can we make it more official?
yeah. It's gotta be like magical transformation 101.
Mhm.
Right?
Something to do with the emperor's clothing, maybe?
Hmm.
Trying
Illusionary.
to think
So,
like
I want our school to be like the premier jumping off point for all the magical girls of the world.
yeah.
So like you come to this school specifically if you want to, embrace your inner magical girl tropes.
Why can't I remember what it's called in
Outfit
In Harry Potter.
transmogrification.
Yeah. I think it's like oh my god, I'm so bad at words.
Well, what's a fancy word for outfit?
Right, that's what I'm trying to think of, like
Attire.
Ensemble.
yeah, ensemble transfiguration.
Oh, there you go. That sounds more official. Ensemble transfiguration.
Cool. All right. Well, we have created our school, and I have concerns about the seriousness, but I'm a very serious person. When we get into play, it'll be serious.
Yeah, for sure.
I guarantee once we play, it'll be serious.
Perfect.
Don't hold me to that when we get to the fanfic portion.
Ooh, yeah.
Awesome. So is that it for the initial world building then?
There's one more step.
Oh, excellent.
So what are the systems of power that exist within the world? You should discuss whether your game will feature systemic oppression.
You skipped a step.
Did I skip a step?
Yeah.
We have to make rumors.
End
don't
of
we?
page 5, the rumors.
You're right.
Rumors.
Boy, the designers really should have put that as like a bullet point or a number at the end of that.
Yeah, maybe
Makes it
step 7 instead of do this after step 6.
Makes it easy to miss.
Mm-hmm.
Can't believe I paid $25 for this book and they didn't do that.
It's okay, Greg.
It's not okay. It's not okay. I could do a better job.
I'm going to write them a very long and angry email and make sure every time they post on social media to let them know how angry I am about this thing.
That's a good idea.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
do
a
it too.
super useful method and like always gets you the results that you want.
It's
for
so
sure.
fun
For
and makes
sure.
me so happy every time.
Designers love feedback, so.
Yeah. They were super looking for your opinion. They were like, man, I wonder what Greg thinks.
Everyone wants to know what Greg thinks. And they all
Greg,
will.
you're so cool.
Thanks. Well, Amelia, go ahead. Give us your first cool rumor.
My first cool rumor.
Actually, Dud, we have 2 things here that aren't bullet points. One piece of the school's history and then the rumors.
Oh.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Either known to be true or a famous rumor, and then a rumor about the current goings on at the school.
Mm.
Okay, so one piece of school history, true or not? Do I have to say whether it's true?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. All right.
I get to decide.
Okay. Okay, Greg.
I have one if you want me to go.
Yeah, go for it.
The island was actually transported here from someplace else. And it raised the level of the lake by several feet when it was transported here.
Very cool.
Some people say there's a sunken town still.
Like along the edge of the lake?
Yeah.
It's got to be in Wisconsin somewhere.
Wisconsin doesn't border Lake Erie.
Oh, never mind.
It does in this
I
world.
think it does. I mean, they're all connected, right?
I mean, it's this
You
island
raised
came from somewhere else. Maybe the island is actually a chunk of Wisconsin that is now in the middle of Lake Erie.
Oh, yes.
Oh, there you go.
Take that as Schwabenhahn.
For some reason, I keep thinking of Lake Michigan. I don't know why. Probably because it's right next door.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I got to get into Erie mode.
Can this island please just be the town of Sheboygan, though?
Yes,
Transported.
100%.
No, actually, I think we already made fun of Sheboygan, so we probably shouldn't, we already did that in a different episode, but... Stupid
Sheboygan. I have nothing against Sheboygan
officially. It's just where all the weird stuff happens. It's like the Florida of Wisconsin.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right, so it was somewhere else.
Transported here from somewhere else? Hmm.
I am going to say that the school a few decades ago had to shut down for 1 year after they brought back a very dangerous book from the dead.
Nice.
That's dark. That's grim. I love it.
Yeah. The school has never won the Ready, Set, Serve championship. They've come in second place multiple times.
To a Russian school.
Yeah.
Still have to think of something. I'm having such a hard time right now.
Can we say it always comes in second?
Yeah, not always. The best they've done was in second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Never made it all the way to the top.
Yeah.
Rough.
So they get close a lot, but then they always lose out to somebody else.
The school is in constant threat of being shut down because of tax reasons and eminent domain issues with the mer people.
Not to mention the land that this island originally came from.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some property dispute.
Yeah.
There's just a big hole in Wisconsin.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'd really like it back, please.
Oh, no.
All right. And now some rumors.
Okay.
I think there's some tension from the merfolk right now, too, and people think they're going to try to take over the school.
Cool.
Okay. So the results of the class projects from the necromancy class are not disposed of as they say they are. They are actually stored in a hidden area under the school. There might be a hidden undead army just under the school. What else are you going to do with them?
I think there's a rumor that Meredith Blurbs' consciousness has been replaced again in the body, but now by someone or something who is impersonating Meredith Bleep. That's the rumor. No idea if it's true.
Okay.
They have been acting weird.
There's a rumor that the entirety of last year's senior class actually cheated on the final exams. Probably by drinking some Blurb family potions.
Okay.
And there's a question, obviously, of whether Meredith knew about it and helped them.
Blurb brain juice.
Yeah.
It'll get you smart.
It'll smart you up.
Was that to get some more federal funding for the school because exam scores were not the greatest?
Right. Well, and the school can't really spare that funding right now because they're in the middle of litigation with the Mer people
That's true.
and the town of Sheboygan.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. And I don't understand why Meredith can't just give us some of that Blurb family money, but whatever.
Seriously. Come on.
It's like she doesn't even care.
If it's even Meredith.
Well, that's true. That's probably proof that it's not.
Uh-huh. The old Meredith would have given up some of their money for the school.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now we talk about systems of oppression. I kind of think on a PG show, we just say like there's a little bit of like simmering tension with the Mer people, but like we're not going to lean into racism, sexism, classism.
Right.
No, I think it's much more about like, this island was not in the middle of their lake, and now it is.
Yep. It's been that way for a while, I assume.
Get your island out of my lake. It's, like I said, it's an issue of eminent domain.
Uh-huh.
It's not about who is or is not Mer people. It is you put your island in my lake.
Well, I mean, the school
like
did pull the permits for a plot of underwater land to build on that land, which most Merfolk do. They didn't say what they were going to build, though. And then they just put an island there. Right. So it's on the right plot of land. It's not taking up more space than they said they were going to. It's just a bit higher than they thought. It's blocking the views. And there are rules on, how tall your islands can be. That's true. This is really a zoning issue. Honestly, that's what it comes down to. This is not about racism. This is a zoning issue. Exactly.
Which... anyway, that's a deep dive into American history. But anyway.
Well, right. I was like, we don't need to get into like gentrification and,
Yeah.
An island does not belong here. It's blocking the views.
Right. Yep. All right, everybody. Now you're going to select a trope from the playbook and take the appropriate sheet and then make some trope selections for your character. Their grade, their strengths, their flaws, familiar, and first name.
All right.
Let's see.
Selecting a trope.
Yeah, they start towards the back around age 80.
82?
82, yeah.
My PDF is loading. Reading the file.
I think I'm going to go with a haughty descendant, if that's okay with everybody. I'm going to create a character I would never actually want to play in real life, since I'm not going to actually play this character.
It's my favorite part of the show. There are no consequences to your decisions.
Uh-huh.
Which obviously means that Ryan's going to pick the bullheaded muscle.
No.
Just kidding.
So let's see here. They got aloof teacher, bullheaded muscle, charismatic slacker.
I was thinking funny klutz for mine.
Ooh.
Okay.
Doting caretaker, famous teacher. So you can be adults in this. It seems. That's cool. Firstborn caster. Ooh. Golden child.
Okay. Ryan.
Yeah.
Please help me pick.
Okay. Haunted survivor.
Yeah, okay, that's one of them. So I'm like, haunted survivor is good. Reluctant oracle.
Yeah, I just saw that one too.
Withdrawn bookworm.
Ooh,
that one's good.
That one's kind of up your alley, I think.
Yeah. There's also offbeat eccentric if we want to, go there.
I mean, that's fair. Yeah.
That's also like not far off.
What grade set are we thinking? Underclass, upper class, or faculty?
I think upper class.
Okay.
Yeah, I think upper class.
Yeah, like I think like we're like not brand new. We know what we're doing, but like we're not, in charge of anything. Ryan is going to go for perfect prefect or golden child, or he might go reliable bestie.
I was looking at all of those and internally said no. I don't want to lean that far into my nonsense.
What?
I know. I'm going to be, let's see. Gosh, there's too many good ones.
I know.
All right. I'm going to go Haunted Survivor.
What?
Yeah.
Ryan.
Yeah.
How dare you? Okay. Well, now I feel like I have to I'm going to go with reliable bestie.
Oh, there you go.
Take that.
My plan worked.
We changed it up officially this time for once?
Yeah, I know. All right. Haunted Survivor. And you're the reliable bestie. And which ones were you, Doug and John?
The haughty descendant.
Yeah, and I am a funny klutz.
Oh.
I have to research what the clumsiest animals are real quick.
All right.
I mean, giraffe is an option. They do seem pretty clumsy.
I just the idea that they're so gangly, that even if they're not clumsy, they're awkward.
Ooh, sloth is real good too. That seems like a really useless.
Oh yeah,
familiar.
Yeah, there's gonna be like a miniature sloth though.
Yeah, not like a mega sloth.
Right.
Or maybe it is, and that's part of the problem. Is it just constantly wrecks things?
Call to action.
Yeah, like that. This was probably our most serious character creation ever, and I seriously enjoyed it.
So serious.
Was so serious.
Yeah.
This is good fun. I had a great time making these characters. I wasn't sure how I would feel going into it, just because I think magical school can kind of be like there's the one quintessential magical school that we won't talk about. And, everything else kind of feels like a knockoff of that sometimes if you don't get it just right. But I had such a great time with this. And I was going to say lovable group, but maybe not.
Most of us, I think.
See. We'll see.
Yeah.
TBD.
You'll see next episode how lovable most of us are.
Yeah. But before we let you go for this week, we have a couple calls to action.
Yeah. First up, if you want to help out this show and others on the network, consider the One Shot Network Patreon at patreon.com/oneshotpodcast. Also, check out our brand new TikTok page at Character Creation Cast on TikTok. Like and subscribe, I guess. Is that what they
as the kids say? Like and subscribe, as the youth say.
We're not really sure how it all works.
When did we hit that age? When did we hit that age where it was I don't know internets anymore?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a slow decline over the last decade or so. So.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's been in the last few years that all of a sudden I'm like, no, it's moving along without me.
Where's the TikTok going?
The TikTok? What?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I said before, I may have to finally get one now because I'm tired of being left out. And,
well, we're gonna have to make some cool, trendy TikToks.
Yeah, maybe if I just stay on our show TikTok, that will
there you go.
Force me to
make it nice and official, and we'll figure it out.
We'll see.
Theoretically,
so yes, like and subscribe or whatever.
Theoretically, it should be worthwhile.
Yes, find us on the TikTok. Next, absolutely, please check out the Trans Rights Bundle on itch. Ryan has a game in it included, along with hundreds of other designers and even more games. It's over 400 at this point. Yeah. It is such a good deal at a suggested price of $5 or more. And it really helps kids that are suffering down in Texas right now after some damaging anti-trans legislation that was recently passed. It's a great cause and an absurd amount of games for that cost. So please check that out. Consider giving more than the minimum amount if you can in order to help some people out and just get a boatload of games that you have to sift through.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many good ones in there. Thirsty Sword Lesbians is in there. Wander Home. Gosh, Too many.
Yeah,
good
there's
games.
some big games, and I always am surprised at like the number of like bigger recognizable games too. That it's not just people's like one-page homebrew kind of stuff. That there's a lot of bigger games in there too.
Yeah, it's really great. Absolutely check it out, and it goes towards a really wonderful cause. And if you have some time after all of that, consider leaving a rating and review for our podcast. The pandemic has been pretty hard for listener numbers for quite a lot of podcasts out there, this one included.
It made me kind of sad. I'm going to be honest with everybody listening. Like when we looked at the numbers and compared them, it was like, oh, but I like what we're putting out.
I know.
Please listen to it. But I know that I have, because I'm not on a commute anymore, I have mostly stopped listening to podcasts. I just don't have the time to do it that I did before.
Yeah.
So I totally get it. But also help. Don't stop listening to mine.
Yeah, I'm finding I'm listening to about half of what I used to.
Yeah.
And it's hard to squeak in a couple minutes here and there to actually listen, since I literally do not commute anymore either. But yeah, it's been rough for our numbers. We were doing pretty well. We were upward trending, and then the pandemic hit, and then everything just kind of went downhill from there. But we understand that good reviews is one of the best ways to spread the word and get new listeners to our feed. So if you can head over to Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, Podcast Addict, or wherever you can leave reviews for podcasts, if we can find it, we will read out every 5-star review right here. And not only will it help us out, but it'll make us feel pretty amazing as well. And then we get to thank you personally, like we're about to do. For this review, we got from Hawklord2112. They said, so I've been on a CCC kick for a while. Ryan and Amelia have such an engaging chemistry and work so well with the game creators/enthusiasts they have on the show. They look at the mechanisms built into the various games without deep diving all the crunch, giving a wonderful insight into whatever system they are discussing. They genuinely enjoy the work they do, and their approach of, we can make what is fun to make and what sounds like fun to play because there are no consequences of bad decisions, has me snorting with laughter on the bus on many occasions.
Oh, us too. Us too.
If you are after a snapshot of Game X that you've been seeing on Twitter, bought on itch, and haven't gotten around to reading yet, and want to be entertained and get some insight from the game's creators and fans, take a listen. Find whichever series has a system you know or are interested in, and stick it in your ears. You won't regret it.
Oh, thank you.
That was
so
review.
nice.
Thank you.
That was thank you. We also enjoy not suffering the consequences of our decisions. I honestly love how much it has freed me up to do things that like weren't, I honestly, I think you especially, because you were very prone to like making the ideal mechanical decision.
Oh yeah.
Much more than I was. And I think you've really branched out and been like, no, this looks cool now.
Exactly.
Like, I don't have to, there's something to be said for feeling. And I honestly think it has changed how I make regular characters too, because I've started to do a little bit of like, you know what? That sounds fun.
Yeah.
It may not be ideal later on, but like, let's go with it and see what happens.
And honestly, sometimes I've actually done the unideal thing on purpose just because it was, a garbage decision.
Right. Yeah. There's something really freeing about being able to say, I do what I want. Yep.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for that review, Hawklord. That was so good.
That was awesome. Well, that is it for today's episode. You can come back next week as we dive fully into our character creation and make some truly amazing but very serious characters. Very serious. Lovable, very serious characters. Until then, take care of yourselves, everyone. Drink some water, get some rest, get vaccinated, stay safe out there, and keep making those amazing people. We'll see you next time. Thank you for joining us for part 1 of this character creation series. We'll be back in part 2, picking up right where we left off.
Character Creation Cast is a production of the One Shot Podcast Network and can be found online at www.charactercreationcast.com. Head to the website to get more information on our hosts, this show, and even our press kit. Character Creation Cast can also be found on Twitter at CreationCast or on our Discord server at discord.charactercreationcast.com. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Bolter, and I can be found on Twitter at Lord Neptune or online at lordneptune.com. Our other host, Amelia Antrim, can be found on Twitter at Ginger Reckoning. Music for this episode is used with a Creative Commons license or with permission from the podcast they originated from. Further information can be found within the show notes. Our main theme music is Hero Remix by Steve Combs and is used with a Creative Commons license. This podcast is owned by us under Creative Commons. This episode was edited by Ryan Bolter. Further information for the game systems used and today's guests can be found in the show notes. If you'd like to leave us a rating or review, we have links to various review platforms out there, including Apple Podcasts, in our show notes. Also, check the show notes for links to our other projects. Thanks for joining us, and remember, we find that the best part of any role-playing game is character creation. So go out there and create some amazing people. We will see you next time.
Now we gotta read some show blurbs.
Show blurbs.
Show blurbs.
Show blurbs.
Show blurbs.
Character Creation Cast is hosted by the One Shot Podcast Network. If you enjoyed our show, visit oneshotpodcast.com, where you'll find other great shows like A Horror Borealis.
A Horror Borealis is an actual play Monster of the Week podcast set in the 1990s in the fictional town of Revenant, Alaska, just south of the nation's least visited national park and way north of everything else. A reclusive small game hunter with a magical secret, a young anarchist librarian with a passion for conspiracy theory, and a sensible park ranger with a strong local book club following find themselves pulled together by common threads woven mysteriously into their past when monsters begin plaguing their tiny community. But they soon discover the things they're fighting run much deeper and much closer to home. Tune in for a story about identity, empathy, community, mental illness, and healing, and stay for the beloved local diner.